Hari Om, Namaste to all. Welcome to our Gita session. And we are continuing our third chapter. I should be finishing within the next couple of days. I'll be completing the third and we'll be taking the fourth from the UK. So let's begin with our opening prayers and the first and final of Gita Dhyanam. No, actually, because there's a lot of people here, let's do the whole Dhyanam. So we'll start with Gita Dhyanam first. It's good practice. And then the opening prayers. Hari Om. ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ददामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम् भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरननदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारत पङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantam Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we were saying the third chapter, the concluding verses. Krishna had talked about Ajnani, and also the Ajnani is that everybody functions in the Jagat, in the transactional reality, in keeping with their nature. So Prakriti is the word for nature, Swabhava. Everybody functions according to their Swabhava. So we also saw the idea of vasanas being carried along from past janmas. We have seen also, prodigies, all these children that exhibit great talents and all this. These verses explain the samskaras that people are born with. So we all are born with certain natural tendencies, and Krishna had talked about that we were all, including the Jnani, controlled by Prakriti. And he had also said the final line, Nigrahah kim karishyati. What use is there of control? So the control we saw, it is not that we are bound by our natures only. Otherwise the teaching would become invalid. Krishna is giving all these teachings, then he says, no, you can't control your nature, do what you wish. Then it doesn't make any sense to have Bhagavad Gita teachings. So what Krishna, we saw, wants to convey is that the Prakriti, this nature we come with, is very powerful. It is very powerful, very difficult to manage, but it is not impossible. And we also have the question, where does my nature end? And where does my free will begin? So in always this perennial discussion between destiny and free will. These verses help to clarify, how far I am destined in life and how far my free will also extends. So this is the question now. He says in the next verse, 34, Indriyasyendriyasyate ragadvesho vyavastito tayor navashama gachet tau hyasya paripantino. So what is the meaning of free will then, if everybody is programmed and they go along with their own nature? Animals are also programmed. Animals also follow their own nature. They live according to Prakriti. A cow is not, it doesn't want to behave like a horse. A cow is programmed, it behaves as a cow should. Any animal you take in nature, it is programmed. It behaves according to nature. And if I also go along with Prakriti, am I not as good as animal? What's the difference between myself and animal if I go along with the nature? So this is the whole idea here. Nigrahah kim karishyati. If we can't manage our natures, then we have, the same, we're equated with animalistic lifestyle. But there is something that singles us out as human beings. What is that? That is the free will. It is the freedom of choice. Kartum shakyam, I can choose to do an action. Akartum shakyam, I need not do the action. Or anyatava kartum shakyam, I can do it differently. So with the human being, there is a free will which implies choice. But where is the choice? Where Prakriti is concerned. So he says here, indriyasya arte. With reference to every sense object, raga dvesho vyavastito. There is raga and dvesha. There's so many sense objects we're bombarded with, right? Sometimes we are drawn towards certain things, we're repelled by other things, and the things that we are indifferent to don't bother us. They're not, any problem, because I'm indifferent. I don't get motivated by a rock I see on the ground, unless I'm really weird, strange, oh, I love that. So the love and the hate, dislike is already in the mind. The objects of the senses trigger. So Krishna is saying here, attachment and aversion are all in potentials in us. And each one's potentials gets triggered by different sense objects. What triggers you may not trigger the other one, right? So it is not the object you see that is a source of like, exclusively a source of like or dislike. The object triggers certain things already in us. So this is where Krishna is saying, this raga dvesha, it starts manifesting in the mind in the form of vritti or thought modification. And what happens? There is a desire that arises for gaining or retaining a certain object, situation, person in my life, or I want to get rid of something. I want to avoid something. Whole of life, our raga dveshas manifest in this way. Either gain of something, retention of something, or getting rid of something, or avoiding something. All our activities in life under 4 headings. You think of anything, it will be under these 4 headings. And all these 4 type of activities we do can be narrowed down to our likes and dislikes. So Krishna says, they don't ask permission to enter your mind. They're already there in seed form, waiting to sprout, triggered by the external world. We don't know also which desire is going to arise when. That is also not in our hands. Suddenly, I don't desire for an object I don't know about, right? Swamiji used to say gaga bugang or some word. If I tell you, oh, gaga bugang is very nice, will you go after it? Just because you've heard. You don't know it, right? You have to know something, then only the desire arises. So if you go along with the thought, what happens? Action is the natural consequence. When I go along with my desire, I will definitely be propelled into action. And we know already, after some Vedānta, this is the triple knot of ignorance, the samsaric life I'm already sucked in. Avidya, kama, karma. Self-ignorance, I don't feel fulfilled, desire arises, likes and dislikes propel my life, then karma starts. And then I look for karma palam. Back to the start. Avidya, kama, karma, back to the start. So Krishna is saying here, you do have a free will. You can nip that thought in the bud before action takes place. That is where free will comes. Destiny provides the desires. We have umpteen desires, don't worry. All stored in karana shariram, storage body, the baggage body I call it. All in potentials in karana shariram, just waiting for the right person or object or situation to trigger. Bhagavan is already, prarabdha unfolds as we live through our lives. Then what? Am I going to get sucked in by this game? It's all a game. So if I go along with the thoughts, then Prakriti will drive my life. If I'm able to step back and manage my raga dvesha, that is where my free will comes into the picture. So this is the important thing, because first of all, everything is already there. If I want to understand my Prakriti, my nature, where do I look? Look at your likes and dislikes. Who has the space to examine their likes and dislikes? Nobody says, I'm sitting looking at my likes and dislikes. Have we ever wondered why we have certain likes towards certain things, certain samskaras, even for Vedānta? Is this a like shared by 8 billion people on the planet? No. So many people on the planet, not even a handful, you can say, come to Vedanta. That is samskara from Purva Janma, picking up the thread. So we are born with certain likes and dislikes, and we also cultivate, as we live, we cultivate vasanas. If you repeatedly go after something, you are making a vasana, a groove in the mind. You are creating a like or dislike towards it. If you keep running away from something, that is the interesting thing. Attachment is both ways, right? We say attachment and aversion, the two disturb the mind. When you run away from things also, I don't like this, you're already thinking of that thing. So whatever disturbs your mind, you're attached to. Think about it. Whether it's a positive disturbance or a negative disturbance, both are attachment. So there's a very beautiful saying. Somebody said, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your habits. Watch your habits because habits form your character. And watch your character because that makes your destiny. This is exactly what Krishna is talking about here. I create the disturbances in the mind because I'm not able to manage my raga and dvesha. And that's why he says, Tayoho vasham na agachet. Don't come under their sway, O Arjuna. Don't come under their power. Don't come under their sway. Use your free will. Use that God-given gift that you have, which is the gift above all of the animal kingdom, plant kingdom, insect kingdom, reptile kingdom. None of them have free will. They are all in the Prakriti. They are following Prakriti and they're doing what is to be done according to Prakriti. But human birth is given for making this choice. So he says, Tau hyasya paripantino. They are the waylayers on spiritual path. They are the robbers of the mind. They are your enemies in your spiritual life. They can rob your mind away. Paripanti is a very strong word actually. Paripanti. Panti is the path. They drag you off your pursuit. They drag you off the path. That's why in Kathopanishad, I'm not sure whether you're going to study in the 6th month, but it's a very beautiful Upanishad, and there's a Somerset Maugham, who's a great author, English author. She had written that the razor's edge, the path is like the razor's edge. It comes from Kathopanishad, that it is very difficult. You can be cut any time, you can fall any time. What makes the fall in spiritual life? It is this. Samsaris don't care because they live with raga dvesha. We saw the third lifestyle, right? Last time, Bhagavan gives 2 particular lifestyles, karma yoga, jnana yoga, in the beginning of the chapter. But 99.9% people are living the third lifestyle, which is raga dvesha driven lifestyle. So we're not bothered about raga dvesha driven lifestyle. We want to have spiritual success. That is why we're here. So Bhagavan says, don't allow the mind to become restless because of raga dvesha. That's why it's interesting, in spiritual life, when we like something, we avoid it. Usually, that's tapas. Tapas is not avoiding things you dislike. That's not tapas. Somebody told Puja Swamiji, I remember, I've been to Kashi, Banaras. Kashi, Banaras, you're meant to give up something there when you go there. So he asked, what did you give up? They said, aubergine, brinjal. I gave up brinjal, Swamiji. He said, do you enjoy brinjal? No, I don't enjoy it. I gave it up there. So what kind of tapas is that? Giving up something you don't like is not any kind of tapas. So watching the raga, if your mind goes towards that extra rasmalai, that extra sweet portion, no. Your free will has to kick in right there and say, no, I'm not going to take that. Because the tongue goes out first, the taste wants to, that sense object is there, the taste wants to go out first, mind backed by the tongue wants it, and then the free will is behind the mind, right? Free will says, no, don't do that. So here, willpower comes very much into the picture in life. One has to cultivate the willpower. You can transmute your likes and dislikes through efforts. You can change your prakriti. That is the beauty of life. You are malleable as a personality. Atma, of course, you cannot change. It is unchangeable, changeless, one reality. We're talking on the level of body, mind, senses. Whole of Karma Yoga lifestyle is what? To make yourself sattva guna predominant, right? A sattvika minded person, which is a more stable, content, a more equanimous person. So here Krishna is saying, don't resist what the mind dislikes. Avoid what the mind likes all the time, and don't resist what the mind dislikes, which is totally opposite to how people in society live. When I like something, usually I go after it. Here Krishna is giving opposite advice. No, when you like something, be careful. You be neutral to it. You don't have to run away from it, but you watch your mind. So here, very important, don't allow your vasanas to develop even more, because when the vasanas or these samskaras, the natural tendencies, you create even stronger groove, it is very difficult to come out of, and then maybe another birth is needed, like even the Bharata story, he was a great tapasvi, great rishi, meditating in the forest, but he fell in love with that fawn, the deer. So he spent all, in the Bhagavatam, I think the story comes, no? He spent all his life taking care of that fawn, making it, allowing it to grow and all of that. He became so attached to the fawn, what happened? Last thought he had was that deer. So he was probably born a deer in next life. Krishna also says in the Gita that thought you have the moment you leave your body will determine your future life. So we have to be very careful. Can we have the thought of spiritual success, moksha, at the last minute? Some people think, let me come to Vedānta at 60. I'll finish all the duties, get everybody married. Suddenly grandchildren also come along. So your duties never end. Actually, when you're in that life, duties will never end. That is a fact. After you get your children married, Shastra says, after the children are settled, your duties finish at that time. That is the time for vanaprastha. That's why we have the 4 ashramas. Take to your own spiritual pursuit. Finally, renunciation is the key, because we are here for a different purpose. So, divert your desires, don't suppress them, make it into an all-consuming desire for moksha. All the desires together. So, therefore, what should we do so as not to come under the sway of ragadvesha? Krishna says, Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat svanushthitat swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. So again Krishna reiterates, commit yourself to what is to be done, swadharma. Swadharma is what is to be done. Siddhim vindati manavaha. So when you take to your swakarmana tamabhyarcha, he says in the 18th chapter as well, keep doing what you have to do in life. Don't allow your likes and dislikes to govern. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha, which means commit yourself to that karma yoga lifestyle. Even if it is unpleasant, you have to do it. Do it. Keep doing it. Mind may resist at the beginning, but eventually the mind starts going along with what is to be done. So it is like training a very wild animal, right? It is going all over the place. Who is the trainer? Your free will is the trainer in life. So you train your mind for mind to do the right thing. And here he says something very interesting. Even if you do your duty with shortcomings, suppose you don't do it properly, that is better than paradharmat svanushthitat, taking to somebody else's duty. So doing somebody else's duty well and neglecting your duty is not conducive again for your spiritual life. So you have to see each situation may warrant certain interference or anything. But here what Krishna is saying, that even if you do something, better than leaving what you want to do because somebody else's role looks better, do what you have to do. So what is Arjuna's Swadharma? If we take it to this context, it is to fight the war. He is the police force of that time, right? Kshatriyas are the police force. And he does not want to protect the community or the society from dharma. He wants to run off. So he does not want to do what is to be done. He thinks taking a life of bhiksha, taking to a life of bhikshacharyam, to beg for alms and to live as a tapasvi in the forest, that is a far better role for him. So he's again neglecting his role as a grihastha ashrami. He is in the householder lifestyle and he wants to go and live in a hut in the forest. So he is confused regarding his role, and Krishna is helping him to see. It's like, a goalkeeper. Suppose the goalkeeper, if you see football matches, suddenly the goalkeeper decides, no, I want to be the goal scorer. He runs away from his goal and he goes off on the other side. What's going to happen? Definitely the opposite side will score the goal, right? He's not doing his job. So, swadharme nidanam shreyaha, which means doing your duty is far more superior than doing somebody else's work. Others' roles may seem very enticing, much easier. You may look at somebody else's job and say, oh, that looks so much easier. This is too tough, what I have to do. I'll do that instead. Especially in offices, this may happen, right? Offices, this type of thing happens. Oh, just look at those people. Or you could say even, oh, look at those people. They don't know what they're doing. I'll teach them. Some people, they can't sit still. They want to show everybody what they know. So they'll take over somebody else's job as well. Bhagavan says, be careful. Maybe to your liking, but is it what is unfolded for you here and now? And he adds here, paradharmo bhayavaha. Doing somebody else's job is fraught with fear. Bhayavaha. He uses that word. Because ultimately you will create an inner conflict in you which will manifest as fear. So don't do other person's job. As I said, in a symphony orchestra as well, symphony orchestra, if the trombone player suddenly decides, I want to take the violin part's job, how will the symphony sound? We have seen throughout the 3rd chapter the beautiful idea of this yajna. We are all contributing to this yajna grand yajna of life. So Bhagavan is saying now, read your script properly, play your role in the drama. Don't take to somebody else's role just because it's better. And, in modern scenario, this happens quite a lot. So this is a great advice for our employment, right? People in the office, somebody once asked me a question. People in the office keep saying, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? One person, because they're very good at doing everything, other people in the office take advantage and that person ends up doing all the work. Bhagavan says, no, you have to learn to say no, draw boundaries in life. This is my role. If somebody asks for help, you can show them how to do. But they have to do ultimately their job, right? Somehow we always want to, people in the world, you will find always wanting to transfer their roles to you. Because especially in spiritual path, we become more, expansive. We want to help others. We want to serve others. But here, service to others also means to keep quiet and do your thing. Serve others by sticking to what you have to do. Don't get distracted. So this is a very, very important, advice that Krishna is giving us. Act well and you gain chitta shuddhi, antahkarana shuddhi, purity of mind for discovery of moksha. So whatever it is, better to follow what we have to follow. Now the last topic of this chapter is a question from Arjuna. So this section is also very beautiful. This last section ends by answers to this question, and it is a very relevant question. So Krishna now answers Arjuna's question right to the end of the chapter. What does Arjuna ask? Arjuna uvacha atakena prayuktoyam Papam charati purushaha anichanapi varshneya baladivani yojitaha. Many people actually have this doubt in their minds. Kena prayuktaha ayam purushaha papam karma charati. So, pushed by what force, what principle do people go against dharma and commit wrong actions? Very interesting question. See, many times we don't know. Sometimes we're pushed by something. We know what the right thing to do is. We know it's swadharma. We know it's swakarma. But something inside, there's like a vega, push, that shoves us to do the wrong thing because I cannot manage doing what I have to do. So this is exactly what Arjuna is asking here, which reflects a very beautiful question that all of humanity could be asking. Why do I go after undesirable results? I know that path is going to produce unpleasant, undesirable results for me, but I'm pushed to go along that path. I know I may be punished. Punishment is always in the form of this unpleasant situation. That's what we say. God has punished me. It's not God has punished. You punished yourself. You have done the papa karma. We don't know when. Bhagavan is only poor thing, impartial order, karma phala data. He is giving the results of your actions. But there is a fear of unpleasant manifesting in life. Nobody wants it. Nobody asks for it. But it happens, and sometimes my impulses drive me to do what is incorrect. I know it's not right, but I do it. So Duryodhana said the same thing in Pandava Gita, very famous line. He said, Janami dharmam nacha me pravrittihi. I know what is dharma, but I cannot, pravrittihi. I know what is dharma, but I cannot go towards dharma. And he says, Janami adharmam cha nacha me nivrittihi. I know what is adharma, but I can't stop myself from doing that. Kenapi devena hridistitena. There is some kind of power in me. Deva, he says Deva actually, some kind of God in me. Yatha niyoktosmi tata karomi. As it's pushing me, I do just that. In my heart, there is some kind of Deva there, and as it's pushing me, I do that. So Duryodhana also shows that he knows that what he is doing is wrong in life. He knows he is doing something that is going to create undesirable results for him. But what does he do? He does it anyway, right? He's pushed. It's pushed to go against better judgment. So it's a very interesting battle that we all have in life. We have knowledge, we know, but experience is different. Somebody beautifully said, the biggest battle I have in life is between what I know and what I experience. My inner battle is between what I know and what I experience in life. That is the battle we're all fighting actually. I know Vedānta, I know all of this, but my experience speaks otherwise. And the whole of Vedanta study is to bridge this gap. That's why the text is called Aparoksha Anubhuti, which means it's immediate knowledge. There is no difference between knowledge and experience in that discovery. So here, Papam karma charati. Why is this person driven to wrong action, doing what is not to be done? Because dharma, we know, we have heard, is that ethical norm, the marker for choice and decision in life. Transgressing dharma, we have this papa karma. Going along with dharma, we get punya karma. So pleasant and unpleasant in life. So even though people know it is wrong, they still do it anyway. Is it because they don't know universal values? No, people know. We don't need to go to universal values school, right? Even though kids are taught values and everything, as a child starts developing, what does it recognize? I don't want to get hurt. Every child understands I don't want to get hurt. At the same time, maybe it does not understand other children don't want to get hurt. Because children are very selfish. If you watch them interact, my toy, they grab it if the other one, because my likes and dislikes satisfied is far more superior than getting anybody else's. So you will find this. So children While as the course of growing up, they are taught as well, other people don't want to get hurt. Whole of Dharma is based on this non-hurting of each other. All the other values stem from this, actually, if you look at it. So everybody knows, even the worst of, the people given to the worst of crimes, they also know what Dharma is. How do we know? Because the very fact that they run away from the law, they know they're not doing the right thing. If they knew they're doing the right thing by committing burglaries and whatever, they will not be running away from the law or the force. So everybody knows, but sometimes it gets suppressed. They're pushed into that aniccan api. Krishna says, without their volition, aniccan, without their choice, against their conscience, balad niyojitaha iva, propelled by a very strong balad, very strong, powerful force. It's like trying to walk, you're trying to walk against the wind, in the hurricane. I don't know whether you've lived in cyclones or hurricane places, but, when the wind starts blowing and you're trying to walk against the wind, there's a huge force that takes you in a different direction. This is like the force. So Krishna says here, what is this the force that impels? What is this thought that impels people to go against their value system? What makes people lie, cheat, steal, do anything? So he says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Eshaha Rajoguna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidyena Miha Vairinam. So it is not an external force like the wind there. It is an internal force. What are these two forces? Kama and Krodha. Very strong desire and anger are the forces that push people to do the wrong thing in life. And this Kama Krodha, only two he has brought in. He says, Eshaha Kamaha, Eshaha Krodhaha. All the brood come along. These are the two mothers of the desires that push. But all the brood come along as well. You've got everything pushing on the back of those as well. And these thoughts manifest inside of us, Kamaha, we have seen throughout the third chapter, even the second chapter Krishna brought it up, is intense binding desire. I want this. I want this in my life. If I don't have it, I'm not going to be happy. Or I don't want this. If I get it, I'm going to be unhappy. So this kind of like resistance to life or this attraction as well. So, when I have this strong karma, what happens? Every cell of my body becomes that karma, that desire. So the thought, it's a little seed at the beginning, but then it consumes the whole self. Some people start, because strong desire, they even, start sweating, and they want, kids, you see, when they throw tantrums, right? When they really want, you can really watch this in children, this tantrum throwing. We have adult kids throwing tantrums all the time also, when they don't get things, because actually we are all grown-up kids. And how we behave in our adult life is because of that child inside. That tantrum throwing against the world is because of that child not been addressed. So Bhagavan says this kamaha is often followed by krodhaha. This eightfold fall of the human mind we saw in the second chapter. Krodha is obstructed desire. Nothing but obstructed desire. When desire is not fulfilled, when something has come in between you and the object of desire, what happens? Anger. Because your desire fulfillment is obstructed. We see this in crimes of passion. We call them crimes of passion. Crimes of passion, unrequited love, So you want that object of desire, but you're not able to get it. It turns into intense anger where you even commit murder. So this is really, something that can happen to anybody. But Kama and Krodha, he says, are that vega, that force. Because if you think about it, you think that object or that relationship or that person or that situation is going to make you happy. The mind has already fooled you at that point. You think that is going to fulfill you and you want that so much in your life. When you don't get it, there is so much disappointment. It didn't manifest for you. And such people don't have Ishvara. That is why bringing in Ishvara as the giver of results becomes crucial in developing the mind, which is emotionally buoyant, we call it. It's not sunk in that ocean of disappointment and anger. The emotionally buoyant mind with Ishvara as the one that holds it up you will always be able to breathe freely on the surface, right? The surface of samsara, you're floating on samsara than drowning in samsara. So your power of choice, Bhagavan says, disappears at this point when you allow kama and krodha to dictate your life. And this thinking and behavior is born how? Again, he says here, Rajoguna samudbhavaha. Rajoguna means it is born of rajas. So he's going to go elaborately into the three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, in a whole chapter. 14th chapter he will look into it and other chapters, but he takes up a whole chapter for this. Here he just brings in rajas. This rajas is going to drive you into this ambition, this type of lifestyle. It is rajas is like, it's interesting that in the, even in our depiction of rajas, we make it red, right? Any kind of desire, rajas. So red is always associated with kind of activity, of drive, passion, all of this. So rajas is a force of Prakriti. And rajas, when we allow the rajas to take over, we'll need to be active in the world. And if I allow this Prakriti, this rajas, to take over, it will be a long and bumpy journey for me. Because rajas is always the one that helps me to go up and down. It helps you to go up and down. If you want to go up and down like an emotional yo-yo, then rajas. Eat lot of, even chilies, your food habits. You create rajas through your food habits as well. So if you eat a lot of masala, chilies and everything, rajas is created. So food also becomes something that one has to be alert with. So krodha is nothing but kama in another form. Don't let this rajas take you for a ride. Don't let this rajas dictate your life. Mahashanaha, he uses another strong word. Mahat ashanaha, it is insatiable. Once you get into that cycle, Mahat, it eats insatiable. You can never say no. You can never say, I have fulfilled all my desires, now I'm free. Can anybody say, my list of desires has been totally fulfilled, I am completely free? No. That is what is called insatiability. You will keep wanting more because you have not addressed the fundamental problem, because the lack of purnatvam that you feel. I am not purnam, it all begins with that. I am not purnam, I am not complete as I am, I am not the meaning of satisfaction, so I need to seek satisfaction elsewhere. So it all comes down to that, and people don't address the root problem, and you read many places, give up your desires. Can you give up desires so easily? Can you eradicate your desires? You're working on the middle problem. The root is still there. So that is why jnanam is the only thing that can remove this avidya root. It can take it out for good. Then desires become very harmless desires. They don't dictate your life anymore. Another beautiful word in Sanskrit, desire is equated to fire. And there's a word for fire in Sanskrit, analaha. Analaha means that which can never be quenched. See, when you pour ghee into fire, what happens? Flagration, big fire happens. Alam na vidyate iti analaha. It never says enough. Alam na vidyate. So this desire, Bhagavan says, be very careful. Again, he's warning. Mahashanaha, great insatiable thing it is. And Mahapapma, anger is Mahapapma. It is the cause for great papas. Mahapapma. We know in anger we can say and do anything. Very angry people lose control of everything. The second chapter verses should come to a head. In anger, sammohat smriti vibramaha, all the Gita knowledge we studied for many years just goes out of the brain, goes out of the system, because in the moment of anger, I forget myself, I forget my discerning capacity. So Bhagavan says, Vidyenam iti vairinam. Know that these are the enemies for you. Viddhi, understand, know, acknowledge. They are your real enemies in life. They are the ones that drive you against your better side, your better understanding. Why are these enemies? Another question now he'll answer. How do these enemies function? And why are these enemies there? I mean, what are they really? He's trying to ask, how do they operate in life? So firstly, he will say, they cover your viveka shakti, that discriminative capacity, discriminatory power they cover. And Krishna gives some beautiful examples in the next verse to illustrate how they cover. He says, Dhumena vriyate vadnihi yatha darsho malena cha yatol bena vrito garbaha tatha tenedam avritam. So now he uses 3 illustrations to show Kama and Krodha, how they cover your buddhi, they cover your viveka shakti. They have 3 forms, they appear in 3 ways. So there are certain desires which are easily negatable. So the first one he says, Yatha dhumena avriyate vatnihi. Just as fire is covered by clouds of smoke, you can just fan away the clouds of smoke and you see the fire, right? So it is quite easy to get rid of these desires, because easily you can dismiss it. By doing a little vichara, you're able to dismiss these fancies. We call them more fancies. They don't cover your viveka shakti so much. You just go phew, and they go, right? Phew, and they go. They should go like that. That's the first type of desire. So intellect has a slight conflict, but it is not like profound conflict. You push aside this kama very easily, and you can discover again your peace of mind by doing a little bit of vichara. But there is another type of desire. Bhagavan says the second form of desire, which is not so easy to dismiss. Yatha adarshaha malena cha. It is like a mirror covered with lots of dirt. You can see the mirror, but you can't see clearly. It is covered with some dirt, and some dirt may be stuck there. So this second type of desire is not so easy to just foo, like the smoke. You can't just foo, blow off the dust, because it's stuck solidly on the mirror. So you need a little more effort to dismiss this type of desire. At this juncture, you still have viveka shakti. You can see the mirror, but you're unable to negate the karma without doing some cleaning. You need some effort in life to do some cleaning of the mirror, which means you have to do examination. What is this desire going to give me if I fulfill it? So there you have to bring in this dosha darshanam attitude. Krishna talks about that also in the Gita. It is not to depress you. Some people say, why is it depressing? All these doshas, see them. It is bandhakatvam, things bind in the world. It is atriptikaram, they don't satisfy you. Going through, there's a huge list. Satishayatvam, there's always subject to improvement, anything sense object. iPhone, we can see that now 15 Pro, whatever, going up and up. One day we'll end up iPhone 135. Can you imagine? What they're improving, we don't know. But Satishvayatva means that anything in this jagat is subject to improvement. So even if you get the object of your desire, within a week or something, the latest one will come. You'll get bored of this one and you want the next one. So this, he says, this type of desire requires you to do a little vichara and bring in all of these advices from the Shastra, which tell you to look at the doshas, the limitations of sense pleasures. So this is a very, the desires have dirtied your mirror of your mind. You need to make more efforts to clean. And the final type of desire is not even seen. The final type of desire, he says, your viveka is totally covered. So what do we do with this final type? He says, Yata ulbena avrite garbaha. Just as a fetus is covered in the womb. So you are carrying this fetus of desire in your womb. We're all carrying fetuses. We don't know that. A lot of fetuses of desire, we don't know what, because of Viveka Shakti, the womb is like the covering of our Viveka Shakti. Until I get birth to the desire, it is not going to go. The only way is to give birth. So this is a very thick cover. We don't see the fetus. This is like the desires that keep coming up, even though I'm trying. Sometimes some people have told me actually they cannot manage because it keeps coming back, that thought. So you tell them to do vichara, viveka, it's not. So it is a recurring pressure inside. Now if that pressure is not against dharma, there is no harm fulfilling the desire. There is no harm in fulfilling desire. Who says? Bhagavan says, Dharma aviruddho kamosmi. In the consequent chapter, he says, I am in the form, sarva bhuteshu, in the form of desire, which is unopposed to dharma. Unopposed to dharma is the form of desire in all the bhutas, in all. So if Bhagavan is the Ichcha Shakti in us, Kriya Shakti, Ichcha Shakti, Jnana Shakti. These Shaktis, powers of knowledge, power to act, power to desire, are all manifestations of divinity. There is nothing wrong with desiring and fulfilling. But it is very strong, this desire. So Krishna says, you may sometimes have to fulfill the desire to get over the desire. So, after you fulfill it, then you look back and say, oh my God, what did I wasted all that money? That's after. But sometimes you've had the experience, after you look back, oh my God, I spent all that money, the time, the energy, and look what I got now. Because the mind is already in that projection, very strong Vikshepa Shakti, that this thing is going to give me happiness. And very difficult to manage that. So Bhagavan says, this is the third type of desire. If you can avoid, don't get that fetus in the womb, right? That type of desire. Don't get sorry, I'm not talking on the fetus of desire, okay? Don't have that type of desire. So he says, Tenedam vairina idam avritam. Your jnanam now is covered in a threefold way. These desires actually cover the knowledge in life. There is no other cover for jnanam. It spoils your capacity to think clearly. So now Bhagavan in the next few verses will say, how this jnanam is covered and how we can overcome it in the consequent verses. So we will see that next class. Okay. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha. Sarve tu niramayaha. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Asato ma satkamaya. Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.